Last chapter, Marley got the measles. She celebrated her 13th birthday and received a letter opener from her mother with her name engraved. While Marley was really sick, she went downstairs and her mother was just so upset because she read an article in the paper about how other schools in the States were opening and how Little Rock schools still dragged on. Mother opened up to Marley and said how sick of it she was, and the chapter ended where both Marley and her mom were folding the WEC flyers. Chapter 35, Mother Gets Involved. I was homesick for most of February. Liz called once or twice a week, pretending to be Lisa from math class. On Valentine's Day, little Jimmy showed up on our front porch with his skinny legs and his old bike. I was in my old pink bathrobe when I opened the door, which was kind of embarrassing, but little Jimmy smiled at me like I was wearing a ball gown. "Hello," he said. "Hi. I brought you your school assignments." He handed me a page torn out of his notebook that listed all my work. "Thanks," I said, and for the first time I noticed that his large eyes were a pretty golden brown color, like a caramel candy. He turned to go and I suddenly called out, "Liz says hi too." Little Jimmy smiled. "You won't tell anyone?" I asked. "Of course not," said little Jimmy. "Feel better, Marley." That night I searched through all the papers and books he had brought, looking for a card or paper heart, but I didn't find one. I was a little disappointed. It was early March by the time I was well enough to go back to school. When the day finally came, I was excited. "Ready to go, Daddy?" I asked. "Mother's going to take you today." "Why?" "I'm going to be subbing at your school," said Mother. "What?" "The school board came up with the idea of using the high school teachers as substitutes at the schools for the younger students," explained Mother. "They get qualified substitutes and the school system saves money since they're paying us regardless." "You two can take the car," said Daddy. "I'll ride the bus." Now, I love my mother. I was glad she had helped me fold the flyers, but the only thing I could imagine that was worse than being in junior high was having Mother come with me to junior high. "Some of the other teachers are against it," Mother continued as we drove to school. "I guess they think it's beneath them to teach the younger grades. Or maybe they're afraid of maintaining order. But I'm thrilled to finally have something to do." I nodded and prayed that no one would see us together. As soon as we arrived at school, I waved to her. "Bye," I said. "See you at home." She headed off to the office to get her assignment. I went to Miss Taylor's class and found my seat. Sally leaned over me. "Welcome back." "Thanks," I said. "Was that your mother I saw outside the school this morning?" Sally asked. "No," I lied and got up to sharpen my pencil. JT caught up with me at the sharpener. "Marley," he exclaimed, "you're back." I sighed. "Hi, JT. Am I ever glad to see you," he said. "I tried cheating off Sally, but she's not so good at math, and Mr. Harding said if I don't get help soon, he's going to hold me back." "JT," I said, "I told you I'm done helping you." Okay, can't blame a guy for asking. One of these days you'll change your mind." "Not in a million years." The bell rang and we both took our seats. Miss Taylor still wasn't there. I can't believe I didn't realize what was going to happen. But I didn't. Not until the door opened and she came in. My mother smiled at me. She actually waved like she was on stage or something. I tried to sink down into my seat and disappear. "Hello, class. My name is Miss Nesbit." She wrote her name on the board in big block letters. "Miss Taylor is out sick with the flu, so today I'm going to be your teacher." JT raised his hand. "Aren't you Marley's mother?" "Why, yes." Mother looked pleased. "Yes, I am. What I wouldn't have given for another case of the measles." In the cafeteria, the talk was all about Sally's upcoming birthday party. She was going to have it at Troy's roller rink and had invited everyone. When I had my fill of disgusting cake flavors and party dresses, I got up and walked over to where little Jimmy was writing in his notebook. "Hi," I said. "Hi," he said and blushed. "Thanks for bringing my homework by the house." "No problem," little Jimmy shrugged. "Want to come sit with Sally, Nora, and me?" I asked. He glanced at Sally and Nora, then back at me. "Why?" "Well," I started, "it's a big table, and Sally always sits at the end, and I'm in the middle, but there's no one at the other end. And you're here by yourself, and I just thought, Why use 2 tables when one would work? Oh, and I wanted to say thank you for bringing my homework. I finished. You mentioned that, he said. So will you? I asked. Sure. He smiled and picked up his notebook. I took his bagged lunch and moved it to the far end of our table. Marley, what are you doing? Asked Sally. Inviting little Jimmy to join us for lunch, I said. Why? Asked Sally. If it's a problem, said little Jimmy. No, sit down, I said. He did. Sally rolled her eyes and continued her discussion of party decorations with Nora. Little Jimmy kept his eyes on his notebook. He still had his pen in hand, as if he couldn't decide if he should talk to me or continue writing. I remembered what Liz had said to me. Don't worry, I whispered. You don't have to actually talk to me. Just sitting here is enough. Little Jimmy smiled and put his pen down. His eyes crinkled, and I knew what he was doing. He was saying the words in his head. I wonder what was going to come out. Just then, Mother came over to our table. Marley, do you know Miss Dalton's boy, that nice James Thomas? Asked Mother. Of course I knew JT, but Mother pointed him out like I'd never seen him before. He turned as if he could feel her gaze and waved. She grinned in return. Yes, I said finally. Well, he told me he was having trouble in math, and you're so good at it, I thought you could tutor him. He said that would be swell and to meet him today after school in the library. I got some of the paperwork to do anyway, so I'll wait for you, and then we can drive home together. What? I'd finally told him no, once and for all, and my mother had gone and told him yes? I was so mad I couldn't think straight. The words bottled up in my throat like people running from a fire, all trying to rush to the door at once. I glared at her, hoping she would notice something was wrong, but she just looked pleased with herself. Well, I have to go get ready for my next class. See you after lunch, Marley. Little Jimmy watched her go. Then he turned back to me with his big brown eyes. Are you okay, Marley? I shook my head. So, JT approached Marley at the sharpener, asked her for help again. She said no, so JT went to her mom. Ugh. The final bell rang, and it was time to go to the library. I trudged there, my feet as heavy as my heart. JT was sitting on a table waiting for me. Hi, Marley. I opened my own math book and did the assignment. Furiously, pressing the pencil down so hard it broke. Twice. Each time I had to get up to go sharpen it, I told myself I could just walk out of there. I could flee. I wasn't chained to the desk or anything. I can just go to Mother and tell her everything, tell her I had liked JT, but now I didn't, and I didn't want to do his homework anymore, but I needed help telling him no, and she wasn't helping. JT kept whistling the entire time, flipping through the pages of a comic book. When I was done, I picked up the paper and threw it at him. But paper doesn't throw very well unless you fold it into a paper airplane, which I hadn't done, so it just kind of slid into his lap. Thanks, Marley, said JT, as he placed the homework in his comic book and closed it. See you around, and he started to stroll out the library. I hated him. I was going to tell him so. I was going to throw words like daggers at him. I was just figuring out which ones to say. If you ask me to do your homework again, I'll tell Mr. Harding. I'll get my big brother to come and beat you up. And my mother walked into the library. You kids done already? She asked. Yes, ma'am, said JT. Well then, come on. I'll drive you home. I sat in the back seat as far away from JT as possible, pressing myself into the side door. Neither he nor Mother seemed to notice. Mother chattered the whole way home, and JT laughed at all the right spots. When we reached JT's house, Miss Dalton was waiting on the front porch with a tray of lemonade. JT climbed out first, and Mother turned back to me. Get out, Marley. Let's go say hello.